welcome Matty Struski!
It is 2013, and I'm watching the New England Patriots play the Denver Broncos from a hospital room. And I know if the Patriots can win this game, that everything will turn out okay. And my friend Brian, a few years earlier, his son was 8 years old and he had a brain aneurysm. And I talked to Brian earlier that day, and he said to me, I know everything that's going on in your head right now, and all I can tell you is if you have a moment to do something that makes you feel normal, you should take that moment, and you shouldn't feel bad about taking that moment. My wife Valerie had always known that she wanted kids, and I had always known that I did not want kids. But right away when we started dating, we knew that we had this amazing relationship, but still at one point we almost broke up over this point, but we decided we're too good together to break up over this, and we just wanted to see what would happen. We'd just see what the world threw at us, and we'd figure it out later. And it seemed silly to break up this team that we created over this potentially abstract idea of having kids. And we were together for 7 years before we got married, and about a month before the wedding, I had a conversation with her and I said, if you're waiting for me to say that I feel like I'm ready to have kids, I don't think I'm ever going to feel like I'm ready to have kids. But I love you enough that I'm very willing to take the chance and see what happens. So go off birth control, and if you get pregnant, that's great. And if you don't get pregnant, that's great too. We'll just see what happens. And I had known a lot of people that were actively trying to get pregnant for years, and it seemed like it was something that was really hard to do. So I figured we would have this sort of settling in period of getting married, and we'd just see what happened along the way. But less than a month later, 2 days before our wedding, we found out that Valerie was pregnant. And now I'm sitting in this hospital room, trying to catch this game and just catch a few hours of feeling normal. And, Valerie's pregnancy started off, it was really normal stuff. It was a little bit of weight gain and some nausea and some headaches. And we went to the we went to a checkup at about 23 and a half weeks. And the doctor said, your blood pressure is a little bit high. We're going to want to keep an eye on that. You should come back in a week so we can check it out. But, I wouldn't be surprised if you were on bed rest at the end of this pregnancy. And we were like, bed rest? That is crazy. What a story that'll be. So we came back in a week, and he sent us right to the hospital. And Valerie got admitted. And immediately it became obvious that we weren't going to make it to 40 weeks. Valerie had been diagnosed with something called preeclampsia, which basically means that you are allergic to being pregnant. And her case was severe. And the doctors are trying to walk this tightrope, and they have the baby's health on one side of that rope, and Valerie's health is on the other side. And at this period in the pregnancy, every day that the baby stays in, makes a big difference for development. And on the other side of that, every moment that this baby is in increases Valerie's chance of having a stroke or a seizure or dying. People die from this a lot. So we read that statistically, if you make it to 28 weeks, that your baby has a much better chance of surviving and being healthy. So we're like, 28 weeks, that's what we're going to shoot for. And the doctors say, we will be happy if you can make it to 26 weeks. So that becomes our goal. And the next day, at 24 weeks and 5 days, just after dinner, Valerie's blood pressure spikes, and they start using numbers that are not associated with blood pressure ever. And all of a sudden, our room is just filled with doctors and nurses, and they're rapidly telling us what's about to happen, and they throw me a pair of scrubs, and they wheel Valerie out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is happening right now. And so they walk me down to the OR, and they tell me to wait outside because they're prepping Valerie for an emergency C-section, and my mind it's just racing. It's all over the place, and I'm thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm about to be a father. And then I think, wait, am I about to be a father? Am I going to leave this hotel, this hospital without my daughter and without my wife? And nobody really knows this is happening right now. And I remember thinking, who do I call if this all ends up badly? And just as I have that thought, the nurse comes out and says, come in, we're ready. And I go in, and Valerie's on the table, and it just starts, and I'm completely unprepared for it. It's this way more aggressive than I'm ready for, and they're pulling on Valerie, and her body's being jerked around the table as they're working really fast to get the baby out. And a couple of minutes go by and the baby pop comes out, and we just catch the quickest glimpse of her as they hand her to another set of doctors, and they hook her up to all these machines to keep her alive. And she's so small, she's just over a pound, and she's stone cold silent. And they wheel her out, and I remember thinking, how does this possibly end well for us? And then the nurse turns and says, "Congratulations, what's her name?" And I'm taken aback because obviously we have a name picked out for her, but it seems like such an odd time to be naming her. But we name her Rain. And 48 hours later, I'm in the hospital room with Valerie, and I haven't slept, and I'm not thinking clearly. And all I really want to do is I want to go home with my wife and my kid, and I just want to get some sleep. And the game is about to start, and I don't believe in God, so I don't pray, but I really do believe in the Jinx. And for those of you who didn't grow up as Boston sports fans, the Jinx is if you admit that something is going well, or you admit that something could go well, it is immediately going to stop going well, which makes it amazing that I utter this phrase. I say, the Patriots are going to win this game, and my daughter is going to live. And I'm immediately just so pissed off at myself for putting that out there. But it's too late, it's out in the universe, so now all I can do is just sit and wait and see how this turns out. And at the end of the first half, the Patriots are losing 24-0, and I'm literally weeping in this hospital room. And this game, like everything else going on in my life right now, just seems hopeless, and I feel like I brought it on. But third quarter starts, and the Patriots come out, and they're like a different team. They come out on fire, and they score 28 unanswered points, and that quarter ends, and we're up by 4, and I start thinking, my God, they could win this game, and things could turn out okay, but I don't want to acknowledge that because of this stupid fucking Jinx that I've already brought on. And third quarter ends, and fourth quarter starts, and the Patriots kick a field goal with 7 minutes left, and we're up by 7, and I'm trying to bend time with my mind. I just want this game to end. And with 3 minutes left, the Broncos score a touchdown, and I just think that the city of Denver just hates my baby, and if Peyton Manning were in the hospital, he'd be trying to snuff the life out of her with his bare hands. I hate the guy. And so the game ends in a tie, and they go to sudden death overtime, and the Patriots win the toss, and I'm like, that is great. And then they decide to kick off, which is a really unusual thing to do in sudden death overtime, and especially when my kid's life is on the line here. So the game is going on, and it's going pretty uneventful. They're trading possessions, and there's about 4 minutes left in the game, and I think it might end in a tie. And I'm thinking, a tie is good. It's not a loss. And I'm thinking, but wait, I think I said that the Patriots are going to win this game. And as I'm trying to figure out the exact verbiage of the Jinx that I put out there, it happens. Denver drops the ball. They fumble a punt on their own 11-yard line, and the Patriots recover. And 2 plays later, they're in the end zone, and they win the game, and I flip out, and I'm completely inappropriate for the hospital. And I grab my phone, and I run down to the NICU where Rain is, and I'm showing her highlights on the phone, and I'm telling her about this game. And for the first time since she's been born, I feel like there's like hope, And she would spend 5 months in the NICU, and more than once it felt like we weren't going to get to take her home, but we did. We made it through it as a team, and it's been 2 years now, and she still has some obstacles to overcome, but I know we'll take those on, and we'll beat those as a team. And when I have my wife and my daughter sitting on the couch and we're watching the Patriots, I know that everything has already turned out exactly how it's supposed to be. Thank you.